Hey YouTube, I'm Anthony.
I'm Monica,
and we're the Cooks. How are y'all doing? This is going to be part 3
Yes.
of our lessons learned from Walmart. In part 1, because here's a quick recap. In part 1, we talked about being a greeter, meaning every time you see your loved one, you greet them with a certain look, with a certain smile. And we developed the philosophy of fake it until you make it. And so when you see them, you smile at them, give them that look. Give them that smile, give them that look. And what you do is you'll change not only their mood, but if you're faking it till you're making it, it'll change your mood also. And so that was part 1, in a nutshell. Part 2 was at Walmart, as big as it is, as much things as they have, Walmart doesn't have the ability to be able to satisfy all of your needs. And so because of that, you need to realize that your spouse cannot satisfy all of your needs. No matter how much they try, no matter how much they would want to, they can't do that. And if you got married and you're thinking that, okay, if I marry this person, they're going to fix everything, they're going to be my all to all, and they're going to satisfy every need, then you're wrong. But also what we learned is that if you do have a certain need, like with Walmart, if they don't have what you need at that moment, if you ask them, they'll make every effort to be able to get it for you. And so in part 2, we discussed that if you have a certain need or a certain desire, your spouse might not have it right then and there. They might not have the ability to be affectionate. But if you open your mouth and say, hey, I really need you to be more affectionate. I really need you to show me more support. I really need you to help me with the kids. They might not have that right then and there. But if you give them the opportunity and you ask the question, then maybe, just maybe, it'll spark something in them and they will go out, call out, and try to get what you need. They'll try to supply that and pray for them. So this is part 3. And part 3 is going to talk about with Walmart. Walmart is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I would love to say 365 days a year, but I think Walmart might close maybe 1 or 2 days, like Christmas. I don't know. I didn't do the research. But the thing about it is that Walmart makes the earnest effort to always be there for you. Always be there for you. And so they make the effort to try to be there to supply all of your needs. So now ask yourself, are you there for your spouse? Do you try to make yourself available 24/7 to be there for your spouse? What do you think?
24/7. I think it's impossible.
Impossible?
But I think that making the effort can be 24/7.
So Walmart,
meaning sometimes you're going to be there present, mind, body, and spirit. Sometimes, the body might not be there.
What about the mind?
The mind might be elsewhere. It's something because I talk to a lot of teenagers and some adults, and they really have this mind set that marriage is going to be 50-50.
Not 50-50.
Never.
Never going to be 50-50.
It's never going to be 50-50. Because when you're down, the other person's going to be up. When that person's down, and what I mean by down is they might not be feeling 100% that day. And you have to take up the slack. But that's how corporations are made.
Yeah, and if you start thinking that marriage is 50-50, because people go on to it with that disillusionment of, well, I'm going to wash the dishes and she's going to dry them. And I'm going to chop up the vegetables and she's going to cook. And I'm going to... No. It doesn't happen like that. And if you talk to any married couples will tell you, what, a lot of times, like Monica said, it's 70-30. Sometimes you have one person who's doing the majority of the work. It is what it is. And sometimes you have that person who's doing that 30%. They'll do that 30% for a long time. And then they finally will snap and they'll say, oh, you know what? I need to put forth more effort. And then they'll jump in and they're 90% and it'll be 10%. And so, but it's never 50-50. And so if you go into it thinking that it's going to be 50-50, you're wrong. But, okay. So Yeah, that's our little get out there. But let's go back to the lesson that we learned from Walmart as far as the 24/7, 7 days a week, 365
Well,
days a
that
year.
falls into being there. It does.
It
falls
does.
into being there.
It does. But one thing about it is that with Walmart, they make every effort to not shut down. Not shut down. Not shut down. Do you shut down? Do you get to a point in your relationship where you might be having a disagreement? And when you have that disagreement, as soon as you start having that disagreement, you close all doors and close all walls. You put up all of these walls and all these barriers, and you're not receptive to anything that's being said, anything that's being given. Do you do that? Because if that's the case, you can't do that in marriage. You can't. Walmart puts forth every effort to be available, to be able to satisfy your needs. In your marriage, you have to do the same thing. You can't have an argument and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to talk to her for the rest of the day. Or I'm not going to talk to him for the rest of the week. Or I'm going to go to my room and I don't really want to be bothered. Or I'm going to lock myself into Facebook and I'm going to consume myself into this computerized world.
You know, I remember when we first got married, and because I didn't feel like I had a voice when I was younger, it was be seen and not heard. And I actually took that attitude into my marriage. So when things would happen that would hurt me, I would just shut down. And I'd just sit there, or I'd go cry, and he'd be walking around saying, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, nothing, nothing. And I remember him telling me, Monica, if you don't tell me what's wrong, we can't work on it. And when he said that to me, it was like somebody took the top off a genie bottle. And all of a sudden, it was like somebody said, you matter. Your feelings matter. And that meant a lot to me. And so many times we shut down, not so much so because of what's going on right then and there, but we shut down because of past stuff. Past stuff. We start feeling a certain way, or something happens and it takes us back to a memory that we didn't, we haven't been healed of. And we take all, like you said, the suitcase. We take all this stuff into our marriages, and we shut down, not realizing that the person that God put in your life is the one who's going to assist in the, so to speak, surgery of healing you and showing you that everybody has a voice. Everybody's feelings do matter. But the shutting down, you can't do that.
And it has to be overall. I mean, you have to be overall. You have to be available and willing to be available overall. Imagine going to Walmart and them saying, oh, Walmart, the doors are open, but sporting goods is closed today. Jewelry is closed today. Produce is closed today. I mean, it would get you to the point to where, as you would say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go to Walmart.
Yeah, I'm going to go somewhere else.
I'm going to go somewhere else. And that's what happens in a lot of times in a relationship. You're in a relationship with your spouse, and for whatever reason, you shut down. And you say, okay, I'm going to shut down this area of my life, and I'm not going to let them into it. And when you do that, that just opens up the door for the competitor. That opens up the door for the devil to be able to say, hey, you know what? She's shutting her body down from her husband. And so she's shutting her body down from her husband. Everything else is open. She's a great wife. She's a great mother. She does all of these things. But, you know what? The sex portion of it isn't important. And so she's shutting down, or she just doesn't feel like. So she shuts that part down.
And men do the same thing.
We do the same thing. And then what ends up happening is that competitor says, hey, you know what? They're closed over there, but I'm open over here. And if you think about it with Walmart doesn't take a look at their competitors. Walmart doesn't work on their competitors. Walmart looks at you and they say, you're faithful to us. We have you. We know that we have you. We accept you for who you are. We don't judge you. And so what Walmart does is they say, you know what? We're not going to take a look at our competitors. We're going to take a look at ourselves. And they say, we're going to take a look at ourselves and see what we can do to make ourselves better. And so even after something horrible happens. We live in Las Vegas, and there was a horrible incident that took place at one of our local Walmarts. And when that horrible incident took place, I was like, whoa, that's bad. You know, a lot of people go to Walmart, and that's their neighborhood Walmart. And what amazed me was that Walmart put forth the effort to clean it up, get it back into order, get it back running, and make itself open and available.
And acknowledge that it happened.
And acknowledge that it happened. And then, wow, I like that. Acknowledge that it happened. And then they open up their doors to be able to be receptive to satisfy those needs once again. And so when you have something horrible that happens in your marriage, and don't think that you're going to be able to go for, like us, 23 years and have a great marriage without horrible things happening. We have had horrible things happen. But when those horrible things happen, you got to make the honest effort, like Walmart, to clean up, acknowledge that it happened, clean up, take a look at it, rebuild, and move on. Move on and make yourself available to be able to satisfy those needs once again. They closed down for a second, but as quickly as they possibly could, they reopened their doors and said, hey, we're still here for you. We haven't gone anywhere. We're still here for you.
And here's the thing, God can only protect and be in your marriage as much as you will allow him. You and your spouse will only go as far in your marriage as you allow your marriage to go. Meaning, I was saying in church today, you have the ability to forgive. You have the ability to look in the mirror and say, okay, Lord, we're having this argument. This is how I feel. And what do I do about it? Without attacking my spouse. Where is this coming from? Why do I feel this way? I mean, a lot of people are in marriages, and the one thing that I always tell singles and married people, one of the hardest things in life you're going to learn is that you can't make somebody love you. You can't make somebody work on a marriage.
No.
You can't make somebody want to be healed. You can't make somebody listen.
No.
That has to be a choice, and it comes out of your free will. And in marriage, you have to be willing to be there. You have to be willing to say, okay, what is my role in this? Because if you're going to be there 24/7, you got to be able to look at yourself, and you got to be able to say, okay, this is me. Let's work on me. Because it's so easy for us to look at each other and play the blame game.
Yeah.
Him. Nothing's wrong with me. It's all them. But truth be told, I mean, like marriage is not 50-50. The same thing goes with our issues. It's never 50-50. Sometimes, you're going to have more issues than your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's just life.
Just life.
It's just life. It's just life. His upbringing wasn't like mine. I had more stuff that I dealt with. I listened to his upbringing, and it was like, wow.
So, I mean,
it was good, but he had some hard stuff from his point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But like the pastor said today, what Satan meant for evil, God will work for good.
Work for good.
But only if you let him.
So just like with Walmart tries to make themselves available. They try to make themselves available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What we're telling you is, in your relationship, in your marriage, try to make yourself available. And when things happen, because bad things are going to happen, when those bad things happen, try to regroup really quickly. Don't let the devil have leeway to be able to stretch something out longer than what it needs to be. And then don't shut yourself down in small areas, different areas. Don't say, okay, well, I'm going to be open on this side of the store, but I'm going to be closed on this side of the store. Because when you do that, you give leeway for the competitor to be able to come into your marriage and be able to try to take a loyal customer. And
I got one.
Go ahead.
Can you not be there for yourself 24/7?
Wow.
Would you not be there for yourself 24/7?
Wow.
In your right mind?
No way.
No.
No way.
And you're supposed to be one. So you're saying I'm going to be there for myself 24/7.
I love that. One last thing that I wanted to mention as far as lessons learned from Walmart. And we're going to kind of close with this because this is the last part of the series, unless God gives us something else. Walmart is accepting. They are accepting of everybody. As far as 3 o'clock in the morning, you go to Walmart and you're going to see some characters in there. And Walmart doesn't look at people and say, oh no, we're Walmart. We're not going to allow you in because we're better than you. Walmart doesn't do that. Walmart looks at you and says, you might have this problem, you might have that problem, you might be this way, you might look this way, you might have this issue, but you know what? We're open and receptive to receive you and be able to satisfy your needs. Look at your spouse and don't look at your spouse and say, oh, I'm better than you are because I do this and because I do that and because I'm this and I'm that. No. Look at your spouse and say, with all of their good points, with all of their bad points, with all of their flaws, with all of their mistakes, God has given them to you. And so show them the love and honor that you know that they deserve, and be receptive to them. Be willing to accept them and bring them in with all of their mistakes. Walmart doesn't turn anybody away. Don't turn your spouse away because they have flaws and faults and things that you don't necessarily like. Pray for them and let God be able to help to work through them.
No.
Because Walmart doesn't judge you. They love you just the way that you are. They accept you just the way that you are. And they're receptive to you just the way that you are. They don't try to change you.
This is one of the things that if you're single and you're thinking about getting married or you just want some advice, just know that nobody's perfect. And when you're talking about the representative that you get when you're dating, you just got to be ready. You got to be ready to work through some stuff because we all come from some stuff.
Yeah.
I can tell you this. With God, and just know that if you're single thinking about getting married, God needs to be in it because He's the only one that's going to make it worth it.
Yes. Don't try to do it without Him. Why would you want to?
No.
Why would you want to? So, YouTube, this is part 3 of our lessons learned from Walmart. And to sum it up, try to be there for your spouse 24/7 as much as you possibly can. If you have something horrible and horrific happen in your marriage, try to clean up, regroup, rebuild, and make yourself available once again. Don't shut areas down. Specifically, don't shut areas down to whereas you're not trying to supply all of those needs, because if you do, you open up the door for your competitors. And also, be accepting. Be willing to accept your mate with all of their problems, with all of their flaws, and not close the doors to them. Walmart loves you the way that you are. And the awesome part about it is, by them loving you the way that you are, them making themselves available to you 24/7, you're loyal to them. You're loyal to them.
Yeah.
You have so many people that are loyal and dedicated and won't go anyplace else, because Walmart doesn't take a look at their competitors, they take a look at themselves. And by taking a look at themselves and saying, how can I be better? How can I do better? What can we do to be able to supply those needs? What can we do to make that customer want to come back to us constantly for us to satisfy their needs? If you make yourself available to your spouse without judgment, without condemnation, without being aggressive towards them, and giving them a safe zone to be able to come to you and say, hey, this is a need that I have, this is a desire I have. If you make yourself available to them, it makes it easier and easier for them to trust you.
And if you do that and you say, for instance, you just not seeing eye to eye, then first of all, you need to pray, but then you need to pray some more, because God is into marriage. I don't care what nobody says. God is
marriage
into
and
marriage.
reconciliation.
He's concerned about every aspect of marriage. So if you're in a situation and you're seeing it as hopeless, that's not the word of God. Your marriage is not hopeless.
No.
Unless you just surrender to it being hopeless. There is always an answer. Always.
Always an answer.
Always an answer.
So these are suggestions. These are tips. Hopefully these are reminders of why you fell in love in the first place. Hopefully these are reminders of things that you've used in the past to be able to try to help your marriage. Please comment. Let us know. If it's helped you, that's awesome. If it doesn't apply to you, which I can't see a couple that it wouldn't, but if it doesn't apply to you, think of another couple that's out there that you look at their marriage and you go, wow, they look happy, but I want to see their marriage thrive. I want to see their marriage grow. I want to see their marriage get stronger. And those are the people that you suggestion you take. Hey, these people on YouTube, they're called The Cooks. You know what? Here, go check out their channel. Cut and paste the link, share us, email us, send us out to those people, because we're not trying to self-promote. All that we're trying to do is what?
I don't know, but you know what? I'm looking forward to the next level of our marriage, because I know it's more.
It's more.
It's more.
More
to come.
More to come. And so, YouTube, we love you. Thank you very much. And always remember,
1
+ 1
equals 1.
equals 1. Bye, YouTube.